We all want every learner to thrive, right? To truly find their footing and, shine. But what happens when the traditional classroom just doesn't quite fit for everyone? Today, we're taking a deep dive into creating truly inclusive and effective spaces. Spaces where every student, especially those with autism, can succeed and really reach their full potential. We're going to unpack some practical, powerful strategies that transform those perceived challenges into, well, genuine opportunities for growth and connection.
Exactly. And our mission for this deep dive really is to give you a shortcut to being exceptionally well informed. We're aiming to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge, those surprising insights from a whole range of educational considerations, the latest research, and importantly, proven classroom techniques. You'll walk away with, hopefully, a clear and actionable understanding of how to foster success in these environments, moving beyond just basic understanding to, genuine application.
That's exactly right. And we've gathered some truly compelling sources for this discussion, notably excerpts from Supporting Students with Autism, Strategies for Success. And these sources, they don't just list challenges, they paint a vivid, sort of nuanced picture. A picture of both the unique hurdles and, crucially, the remarkable strengths that students with autism bring to the classroom. So let's unpack this. Let's explore the landscape, maybe starting with those challenges. Okay, so let's start by acknowledging the unique hurdles, the ones many students with autism face in a traditional school setting. It's really not about what they can't do. It's more about understanding where the traditional environment might maybe inadvertently create obstacles that need some thoughtful navigation. It's about shifting our perspective, isn't it, to truly see the classroom through their eyes.
Precisely. And when we talk about communication, for instance, it's not just about a student's ability to speak. For many students with autism, the very act of, say, talking to others or initiating a request for help, maybe articulating a simple need like asking for a break, that can be incredibly difficult. They might struggle with the mechanics of forming words, sure, but often the bigger challenge lies in the complex social nuances of communication. This extends to understanding and using nonverbal cues, like interpreting tone or even knowing when it's okay to interject in a conversation. Social communication problems are particularly common, and our source highlights a really compelling statistic here. About 63% of autistic students report feeling nervous, specifically in group work situations.
Wow, 63%, that's significant.
It really is. Think about it. Group work requires constant negotiation, reading body language, turn-taking, understanding those unspoken social rules. And these students often struggle with those, unwritten classroom rules that most people just pick up implicitly through observation. That makes it profoundly difficult to follow directions that aren't explicitly stated or, say, to join class discussions spontaneously. Teachers frequently observe these students struggling, often in silence, simply because they don't know how to initiate that request for support, even when it's clearly desperately needed. This isn't about a lack of desire, not at all. It's more a lack of accessible pathways to express that desire.
That makes sense. It's the how.
Exactly. Then if we shift to sensory challenges, this is a really significant and often misunderstood part of the autistic experience. Imagine your most sensitive sense, like hearing or sight, amplified to an extreme degree. Bright fluorescent lights, maybe the unexpected jarring sound of a dropped book, the constant hum of a projector, or even just a busy, cluttered classroom with too many visual distractions. It can feel overwhelmingly too much.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, and this isn't just discomfort. This constant sort of unfiltered influx of sensory input makes it incredibly difficult for a student to focus on a lesson, or even just to stay calm and regulated within their own body. Many students with autism genuinely need access to quiet places or specific sensory tools like fidgets or weighted blankets just to feel regulated and okay within that environment. Another key statistic from our sources reveals that about 81% of autistic students have trouble when activities change fast.
81%. Wow, changes in activity.
Yes, that rapid transition, whether it's from math to reading or from quiet work to, loud play, can easily cause significant stress or strong emotional reactions
Yeah.
because it requires an immediate cognitive and sensory shift. Similarly, unexpected changes in routine can be profoundly unsettling. It throws off their ability to adapt and feel secure, which can lead to increased anxiety or even behavioral outbursts as a way of communicating distress.
Okay, so communication, sensory overload, difficulty with change. What about the social side?
Right, and social challenges are a huge component. Arguably one of the most heartbreaking. Social times at school, think lunch, recess, group projects, can be particularly hard. Sadly, many students with autism report feeling truly alone at school. It's a poignant reality, and it's underscored by another statistic. About 90% of autistic students feel lonely because they spend less time interacting with their classmates.
90%, that's incredibly high, feeling lonely at school.
It is. And situations like group work, which we mentioned, or simply being in new and unfamiliar places, can significantly increase their anxiety levels. Now, this isn't a lack of interest in friendship. It just makes it genuinely difficult for them to initiate interactions, make friends, or join in activities. This can lead to a kind of self-perpetuating cycle, where limited positive social experiences make new social situations seem even scarier, reinforcing that isolation. The source really emphasizes that creating truly inclusive classrooms and actively teaching social skills, rather than just expecting them to be implicitly absorbed, can make a substantial difference in combating this pervasive loneliness.
That paints such a clear and frankly empathetic picture of why a traditional, maybe neurotypical centric classroom can be so challenging for students with autism. It sounds like a lot to navigate for them, truly, but here's where it gets really interesting and I think critically important. Because alongside these challenges, these students also possess incredible strengths. Strengths that, when recognized, appreciated, and leveraged, can be powerful, transformative assets in the classroom. It's not just about addressing the hurdles, right? It's profoundly about identifying and building on their unique capabilities.
Exactly. And when we identify and focus on these strengths, students not only feel good about themselves, which is intrinsically motivating, of course, but they're also highly motivated to engage and try. Take, for example, their intense interests. Sometimes people call it hyperfocus or special interests. Many autistic students love certain topics with an incredible depth of passion, almost encyclopedic knowledge, whether it's dinosaurs, trains, computers, historical events, even specific scientific principles. This strong, almost obsessive interest isn't a deficit at all. It's more like a superpower. It helps them learn intricate details that others might miss and solve problems in truly unique and innovative ways.
So, turning that intense interest into a learning tool.
Precisely. What's fascinating is how these intense interests can be skillfully integrated into a broader curriculum. For instance, a student with a hyperfocus on trains isn't just learning about locomotion, right? They could be exploring the history of industrialization, the economics of trade routes, the physics of engineering, or even the geography of rail networks through that lens. These intense interests can directly translate into remarkable success in areas like art, music, advanced mathematics, or cutting-edge technology, often fostering a level of expertise far beyond their peers.
That's fascinating. What other strengths do we often see?
Well, another remarkable strength frequently observed is their strong visual skills. Autistic students often excel at seeing patterns, remembering minute details, and noticing things that might completely escape the attention of others. They frequently possess excellent rote memory, particularly for facts and sequences, and an impressive capacity for close attention to detail. And beyond just general visual aptitude, some also have truly special sensory skills, things like perfect pitch in music, an extraordinary ability to perceive colors with vivid intensity, or an uncanny knack for spatial reasoning.
Wow, perfect pitch, vivid colors.
Yeah. And these specialized skills are not just fascinating. They are highly applicable in fields like science, engineering, coding, various forms of creative work. The research actually supports this. It indicates that about 1/3 of autistic people demonstrate great skills in drawing, spatial reasoning, or music. So by actively seeking out and utilizing these strengths in the classroom, maybe through visual puzzles, detailed diagrams, or opportunities for pattern recognition, we can significantly boost their motivation, engagement, and overall academic performance. It's really about tailoring the learning experience to tap into their inherent cognitive advantages.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture.
Yes, connecting it to the bigger picture, recognizing, validating, and actively leveraging these strengths is absolutely key. Key to building an inclusive and truly effective learning environment. It shifts the paradigm, doesn't it? From merely focusing on perceived deficits or challenges to embracing and amplifying their unique talents and contributions. It's about creating a space where their strengths shine brightest, benefiting not just the individual student, but really enriching the entire classroom community.
That's such a crucial reframing, moving from a deficit model to a strength-based one. Okay, so if we're building on these strengths and navigating those challenges, what does this all mean for, say, the physical space and the daily flow of a classroom? Our sources emphasize that a strong, predictable structure is absolutely foundational. It's like laying a solid foundation for a building, right? Before you add the walls and roof, it creates that stability and predictability.
That's a perfect analogy. A classroom with a well-designed structure truly helps students with autism feel safe. It reduces the anxiety that often comes with uncertainty. And critically, this sense of safety helps them get ready to learn. It frees up that cognitive energy that might have been spent just anticipating the unknown. The core elements, according to our sources, are straightforward but profoundly impactful. Consistent visual schedules, thoughtfully organized spaces, and very clear, predictable rules. These aren't just nice-to-haves. They are fundamental tools. They simplify routines, they provide clear expectations, and perhaps most importantly, they promote independence, allowing students to navigate their day with less direct adult intervention over time. And that independence, in turn, builds confidence and self-efficacy.
Okay, let's break those down. Visual schedules first. What do those look like in practice?
Right. So visual schedules are essentially highly personalized visual maps of the day, or maybe just an activity sequence. They use pictures, symbols, or even words that clearly show the plan. They can be displayed prominently on a wall for the whole class, or each student can have their own individual copy, which offers a great sense of personal control and ownership. The benefits are numerous and, well, profound. Visual schedules help students know what will happen next, they help them prepare for any upcoming changes, and they significantly lower worry.
So it's about reducing that what-if anxiety.
Exactly. It isn't just about knowing what's coming. It's about reducing the cognitive load and anxiety that unpredictability creates. For a student with autism, the unknown can be genuinely terrifying, potentially leading to overwhelm or even shutdowns. A visual schedule acts like a consistent, predictable map. It frees up mental energy that would otherwise be spent anticipating or fearing transitions. When students know what to expect, they can stay on task more effectively, start their work faster, and gradually become much more independent. The source notes that over time, students often need less help from adults because they get the hang of using these visual cues themselves. That's a beautiful demonstration of learned self-regulation. And the beauty is, these schedules are remarkably adaptable. Simple pictures or icons work wonders for younger students or those with limited literacy, while older students might prefer written lists or checklists for more detail and agency. It's all about matching the schedule to the individual's needs and developmental level.
And these visual schedules, they naturally create routines, right?
That's right. Building on that, visual schedules inherently provide clear, consistent routines. For students with autism, knowing what comes next and the predictable sequence of events reduces anxiety significantly. Research explicitly shows that visual schedules help students stay on task and initiate work more quickly, sometimes cutting down on the time it takes to get started by half.
Wow, by half. That's impressive.
It is. It's about creating a predictable, reliable flow that fosters confidence and allows them to focus on learning rather than navigating uncertainty.
Okay, and you mentioned transitions being tough. How do the schedules help there?
Yes, and this leads us directly to transitions, which, as we noted, can often be incredibly challenging for students with autism. The act of switching between activities, even seemingly small ones like moving from their desk to the carpet, can be a major source of distress. The unpredictability of a sudden shift can trigger anxiety. Visual schedules, however, provide clear, advanced signs for when tasks will change. This allows students ample time to mentally and physically prepare for what to do next, smoothing their movement from one thing to another. Studies consistently show that visual schedules lower worry and genuinely help students handle these changes with greater ease and fewer disruptive behaviors. Practical examples: using a visual timer that counts down to the transition, maybe a first-then board like first math then recess, or even a specific song or a signal that consistently indicates an upcoming change. This preparation makes the classroom feel much safer and easier to understand. It reduces that element of surprise that can be so unsettling.
Makes sense. So schedules and routines. What about the physical space itself? Organization.
Absolutely. Beyond schedules, organized physical spaces are critical. A neat, uncluttered classroom helps students focus better and feel calmer simply because it reduces visual and sensory overload. One key strategy is meticulously labeling materials. This means clearly labeling bins, shelves, supplies, maybe with both words and pictures, so students can easily find items they need and, crucially, put them away independently. This simple act boosts independence, reduces frustration from searching, and obviously helps keep the classroom clean and ordered. Research confirms that clear labels and visual supports make routines easier and help students feel less worried as they understand the physical layout and expectations of their environment.
Okay, labels. What about zones, like different areas for different things?
Yes. Similarly, creating clear zones within the classroom is highly effective. You can define different areas for specific activities like a distinct learning area, a quiet time spot for independent work or regulation, maybe a designated play zone. Using visual cues like rugs, shelves, colored tape on the floor, or even just large signs helps to delineate these spaces. Structured spaces like this help students know exactly where to go for each activity, and crucially, they provide those vital quiet places for sensory breaks, which we discussed earlier are so important for self-regulation. Studies show that students in neat, well-defined classrooms focus better and experience less worry, because the visual organization provides an external structure that helps organize their internal experience. It's all interconnected. The physical environment directly impacts their emotional and cognitive readiness to learn.
It really sounds like creating this predictable, visually supported environment sets the stage for everything else. It transforms the classroom into what truly feels like a safe harbor for these students, removing so much of the unknown that can be a profound source of anxiety. Okay, so once that physical space feels safe and predictable, the next crucial piece of the puzzle, according to our sources, is communication. How to ensure students with autism can effectively share their needs and understand ours? How do we bridge that often challenging gap?
You're absolutely right. Helping students with autism communicate effectively is foundational to their academic and social success. This involves a multi-pronged approach. It includes using simple, direct language, strategically incorporating visual aids, and exploring alternative communication methods. These strategies make lessons not just easier to understand, but also more engaging, empowering, and effective for all learners, particularly those with unique communication profiles.
So, starting with simple language,
Mhm.
what does that look like?
Well, starting with simple language, it's really about using concrete words and avoiding ambiguity. This means steering clear of abstract phrases, idioms, slang, sarcasm, or rhetorical questions that can be incredibly confusing. For example, instead of saying, settle down, which is quite abstract, right, and open to interpretation, explicitly say, sit in your chair and look at the board. That's direct, unambiguous, clear. Research strongly supports that clear, simple words help students with autism learn new vocabulary and ideas more effectively, as their brains often process information very literally. It's also incredibly beneficial to pre-teach key words and concepts before a lesson begins. Maybe show a picture of a new vocabulary word or physically demonstrate an action. This approach reduces confusion, lowers anxiety, and helps students feel more confident in their comprehension, setting them up for success right from the outset.
And that clarity applies to instructions too, I imagine.
Definitely. This clarity also applies to how we give instructions. Break down directions into one step at a time, especially for complex tasks. Use short, concise sentences and don't hesitate to repeat directions in the same clear manner if needed. When instructions are clear and concise, students know precisely what is expected of them, which significantly reduces frustration and off-task behavior. Studies confirm that breaking tasks into small, manageable steps and using visual supports alongside verbal instructions significantly helps students follow along and complete assignments. And here's a key tip, one really worth remembering. Always check for understanding. Don't just ask, do you understand? Because you might just get a yes. Instead, ask students to repeat the directions back to you in their own words, or even better, have them show you what to do. This immediate feedback loop ensures true comprehension and allows for immediate correction if there's a misunderstanding.
That makes sense. Checking for understanding actively. Okay, what about visual aids beyond schedules?
Right, beyond spoken language, visual aids are incredibly powerful, especially leveraging those strong visual skills often present in students with autism. Picture systems, like the Picture Exchange Communication System, or PECS, are prime examples of this. These systems allow students to use images to express their needs, make choices, and understand daily routines by exchanging pictures for desired items or activities. They work exceptionally well precisely because many students with autism process information visually. They find pictures far more accessible and less fleeting than spoken words. Research consistently shows that picture systems help students communicate more frequently and effectively, feel less upset due to communication frustration, and become more independent in expressing their wants and needs. Other visual tools like choice boards that present options with pictures, those visual schedules we just discussed, and social stories are also highly effective in helping students anticipate what will happen next and understand social expectations.
You mentioned timers earlier too as a visual aid.
Yes, timers are another simple yet profoundly powerful visual aid. Visual timers in particular show students exactly how much time they have for an activity, often by depicting the passage of time, like a colored segment shrinking. They help students prepare for upcoming changes by providing a clear endpoint, which in turn significantly lowers worry and improves their time management skills. Experts consider visual timers a good and easy tool that can be universally applied, whether for a focused work period, a designated break, or a transition between tasks. The visual representation just eliminates the abstract concept of time, making it concrete and manageable.
Okay, so simple language, visuals. What if a student is non-speaking or needs more support?
That's where alternative communication methods become crucial. Augmentative and Alternative Communication, or AAC, encompasses a diverse range of tools. This can include specialized communication devices with synthesized speech, dedicated apps on tablets, or simple picture boards. Now, a crucial point to understand, and one that's often misunderstood, is that AAC does not inhibit the development of natural speech. In fact, research indicates that providing a means of communication often encourages students to attempt to speak and significantly reduces frustration, leading to fewer challenging behaviors.
That's a really important clarification. AAC helps. It doesn't hinder speech.
Exactly. AAC can be used effectively in conjunction with other communication methods, such as speech or gestures, to provide comprehensive multimodal support tailored to each student's unique profile. And gestures themselves, like pointing to indicate choice or symbol signs for common needs, offer another valuable way for students to share ideas. Teaching students to use gestures alongside words or pictures can greatly enhance their ability to express themselves, particularly when verbal communication is difficult. Both families and teachers often employ gestures naturally to facilitate communication at home and in the classroom, helping students feel included and understood, even without words. It's really about opening as many communication pathways as possible. So many options. Which raises an important question. How do we effectively tailor these diverse communication supports? The answer is clear and vital. Every student is profoundly different. What works wonders for one student might not be as effective for another, and what works one day might need adjustment the next. Therefore, you may need to try different supports, and often mix various methods, to find precisely what works best for each individual student. It's an ongoing process of observation, flexibility, and adaptation, always driven by the student's unique needs and responses.
That's such a profound point, the truly individualized nature of support, and it makes perfect sense. So moving from how we communicate to how the environment feels, many students with autism experience sensory input differently, often intensely, sometimes overwhelmingly. So how can we proactively make classrooms truly sensory-friendly spaces rather than environments that might inadvertently trigger sensory overload?
This is a critical area, and you're right, it's often overlooked. The primary goal of a sensory-friendly space is to actively reduce environmental stress and significantly aid a student's attention and ability to self-regulate. Even seemingly simple adjustments to things like lighting and noise can make a world of difference in preventing sensory overload and promoting focus.
Okay, let's start with lighting. What's the issue there?
Well, let's consider lighting first. Bright, harsh lights, especially those flickering, buzzing fluorescent bulbs common in many classrooms, can be deeply bothersome for students with autism. For some, it's like constantly being under a strobe light. It can cause visual discomfort, headaches, and a profound inability to focus. Solutions: using softer, natural light whenever possible by maximizing windows, maybe installing dimmable lamps in certain areas, covering bright overhead lights with calming diffusers, or using curtains to prevent glares from windows that might reflect too much light. The benefit is immediate and tangible. Many students feel more relaxed, focused, and calm in environments with gentler, more consistent lighting. This isn't just about aesthetics, it's about creating a biologically comfortable space.
Right, makes sense. And noise. Classrooms can be noisy places.
They certainly can be. Noise is another major factor. The constant hum of a classroom chair scraping, pencils tapping, whispers, sudden shouts, which many of us often tune out, can be intensely upsetting or distracting for students with autism. Many genuinely struggle to filter out background sounds, meaning every small noise is processed with the same intensity, potentially leading to auditory overload. To mitigate this, consider using soft furnishings like carpets, curtains, or other soft materials on walls to absorb sound. Designating quiet corners or calm-down spaces within the classroom provides a much-needed retreat from overwhelming sounds. Some students may benefit greatly from noise-canceling headphones, which act as a kind of personal sound buffer. Lowering overall noise levels, having clear rules about quiet work times, and providing designated quiet zones all help students feel safer, and can even reduce certain repetitive actions they might engage in to self-regulate, like howling or rocking, which can be a response to internal or external overstimulation. Also, it's worth noting, keeping classroom decorations visually simple, avoiding too many bright colors or busy patterns on walls, helps prevent visual overstimulation that can be just as distracting as auditory input.
Okay, so adjusting the environment. But it's also not just about what's in the room, but also how students can manage their own sensory needs within it, right? Finding tools and strategies to self-regulate. It's about creating an environment that responds to their individual sensory profiles.
Exactly. Providing opportunities for movement and specific regulation tools is absolutely key. Flexible seating is a great example of this. This isn't just a trend, it's a powerful tool for sensory regulation, allowing students to choose what type of seating works best for them, whether it's a traditional chair, a beanbag, a standing desk, a wobble cushion, or even floor seating with a textured mat can genuinely help address their sensory needs. Think about a student who needs constant subtle movement to focus. A wobble cushion or a standing desk might provide just the right proprioceptive input. Conversely, a student overwhelmed by sensory input might find a beanbag chair in a quiet, slightly enclosed corner to be their safe haven. This gives them agency and control over their comfort, which significantly boosts their ability to engage and learn.
Flexible seating. Okay, what about actual movement? Breaks.
Yes, movement breaks are also incredibly effective. Planning short, structured breaks, maybe 5 minutes every hour or so for stretching, walking, jumping jacks, or even visiting a designated sensory room or movement corner, allows students to expend energy, get necessary vestibular or proprioceptive input, and regulate their bodies. Research consistently shows that these breaks help students calm down, refocus their attention, feel less worried, and ultimately pay better attention when they return to academic tasks. Students who incorporate movement into their day often demonstrate improved focus, reduced anxiety, and fewer behavioral challenges as they are better able to manage their internal states.
And fidget tools. I hear a lot about those.
Right, and then there are fidget tools. These are simple, often discrete objects like stress balls, tactile toys, chewable necklaces, or even weighted blankets or lap pads. Providing these tools, whether at their desks or in a quiet spot, helps students control themselves, stay calm, and maintain focus by providing a socially acceptable outlet for sensory input or nervous energy. They serve as self-regulation mechanisms, effectively reducing stress and allowing students to channel excess energy in a non-disruptive way. What's fascinating here is how simple adjustments like flexible seating, movement breaks, and sensory tools can have such a profound impact. They help students spend more time on their work, significantly lower problem behaviors, and genuinely make them feel safe, comfortable, and included as a valued part of the class. But it's always important to remember, as we've said, every student has their own unique sensory needs and preferences. You may need to try different tools and setups, engaging in a process of careful observation and flexibility to discover precisely what works best for each individual student.
That's such an important reminder, the incredibly individual nature of these needs, and how a proactive, responsive environment can make such a difference. Moving forward then, social interaction. This can be another significant area where thoughtful support makes a world of difference. How can classrooms actively help students with autism build those crucial social skills and feel more connected to their peers and the broader school community?
Learning social skills is absolutely fundamental. It directly helps students with autism develop a sense of belonging and inclusion within the group. And perhaps most importantly, it helps them feel more self-assured and confident in their interactions. We can actively teach these skills, rather than just expecting them to be implicitly absorbed, through effective strategies like structured peer support and targeted social stories. These methods have proven effective for a wide range of students, fostering genuine connection.
Peer support sounds interesting. How does that work? Buddy systems.
Exactly. Peer support is particularly powerful because it allows students with autism to learn directly from their classmates in a natural, supportive, and often less intimidating environment than adult-led instruction. Implementing buddy systems, for instance, is a highly effective way to facilitate this. A buddy system thoughtfully matches a student with autism with a neurotypical classmate who can offer assistance, maybe helping with group work, navigating games, or simply providing a consistent, friendly point person for asking questions or sharing ideas. There's so many good things that come from peer support. It significantly increases communication attempts and participation in class activities. Peer support programs are known to help students make friends, overcome shyness, and communicate better in a real-world context. Critically, students feel more confident and develop a stronger social identity through these interactions, as they are seen as part of the group. The skills learned with friends in a structured peer environment can readily be generalized and used on the playground or even at home, demonstrating true skill acquisition. Plus, peer-based help is remarkably flexible. It works across different ages and activities, making it highly adaptable. It's a true win-win. Both autistic and non-autistic students gain from peer support, fostering empathy, understanding, and ultimately creating a more welcoming and inclusive classroom for everyone. A practical tip here. Start with easy, low-pressure buddy tasks, like reading together, sharing materials, working on a simple puzzle. As students become more comfortable and ready, you can gradually introduce harder, more complex social tasks, building that confidence incrementally.
That sounds great. Starting small, what about less formal activities?
Right. Beyond formal buddy systems, integrating inclusion activities into daily classroom life is essential. Thoughtfully designed games, collaborative group projects where each student has a defined role, or even art activities provide excellent, natural opportunities for students with autism to practice their social skills in a low-pressure setting. Peer-mediated help, which involves peers modeling appropriate behaviors and providing planned, gentle support, works exceptionally well. Programs like Circle of Friends, which builds a support network around a student, and peer buddy systems are specifically designed to make everyone feel welcome and foster genuine, organic connections. Even the strategic use of video modeling, where a student watches a video of a desired social behavior, or self-checks, where they use a checklist to monitor their own social actions, can help students stay involved and engaged in social scenarios, making abstract concepts more concrete.
Okay, peer support, inclusion activities, and
Yeah.
social stories. How do they fit in?
Social stories are another cornerstone of teaching social skills. They provide a highly structured and visual way to learn. These are carefully crafted, short narratives designed to teach students how to act in various social situations, maybe sharing toys, asking for help, waiting their turn, or joining a game. They use simple, direct words and often accompanying pictures or photos to clearly show what will happen in a given situation and how the student should respond appropriately, often from the student's perspective. Key strategies for effective social stories include extreme personalization, tailoring the story to the individual student's specific needs and experiences. Strategic timing, presenting the story before a new event to prepare them mentally and emotionally. Extensive use of visual supports to make abstract ideas clear and concrete. Role-playing the story scenarios to allow for hands-on practice. Repetition to reinforce learning and generalize the skill, and integrating them with applied behavior analysis, ABA principles, to boost skill acquisition and ensure the learned behavior is functional.
Do they actually work? Is there evidence?
Oh yes, the impact is significant. A 2015 study, for example, found that half of children with autism demonstrated improved social skills after consistently using social stories. They help students change their behavior, develop greater self-control, understand complex, unwritten social rules, significantly lower anxiety about new or unfamiliar situations, and prepare them effectively for unfamiliar experiences. Experts agree that using social stories consistently, both at home and school, helps students learn faster and feel more confident in navigating their social world.
That's encouraging. How do you make sure the skills stick?
Great question. To truly solidify these skills and ensure they transfer beyond the immediate teaching moment, practice and observation are vital. Role play, where students act out social stories or practice specific social scenes like saying hello, asking to play, or how to handle losing a game, helps them remember what to do and builds their confidence in applying the skill. Repeating these role play sessions multiple times in different contexts helps the skills become deeply ingrained. Modeling is another powerful technique, demonstrating the correct way to act, either by the teacher themselves, a peer, or through videos. Students watch the desired behavior, then have the opportunity to try the skill themselves. Modeling works particularly well when combined with social stories and peer support, allowing students to see, practice, and then apply new social skills in their daily interactions, fostering true mastery. Ultimately, these social skill strategies work best when you use them often, consistently, and are careful to match them precisely to each student's individual needs and developmental level. This dedicated, flexible approach helps ensure that the skills stick, are truly learned, and can be generalized effectively to new and different situations beyond the immediate classroom setting, enabling real-world social success.
That's a powerful framework for building social connection. And this concept of matching to each student's needs brings us directly, doesn't it, to differentiated instruction. It's about recognizing that one size does not fit all in learning, especially for students with autism who often have such unique profiles of strengths, challenges, and learning styles.
That's absolutely correct, and it's really a cornerstone of inclusive education. Differentiated instruction is fundamentally about changing how you teach, what materials you use, and how you assess or check for understanding, all based on individual student needs. The overarching goal is to ensure that every student can learn in their own unique way, accessing the curriculum and demonstrating their knowledge effectively. And this, perhaps paradoxically, makes the classroom a better, more effective, and more equitable place for everyone, not just those with autism, by embracing diverse learning pathways.
So how does this start? With individual plans?
Exactly. This proactive approach begins with individual plans. since each student with autism truly learns in their own distinct way. Some are visual, some kinetic, some auditory. Creating a personalized learning plan for each student is critical. These plans help educators focus precisely on what each student needs most to succeed, playing to their strengths while supporting their challenges. A key component here is setting realistic, achievable goals. We often use the SMART goal framework: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. SMART goals provide a clear, objective roadmap for tracking a student's growth and allow for meaningful, data-driven celebration when those goals are met. Collaboration is absolutely essential here. Working closely with families and specialists provides invaluable lived insights into a student's learning style, preferences, and developmental needs, allowing for dynamic adjustment of goals as they progress. The source highlights key components of individualized education programs, IEPs, which are legal documents guiding this personalized support. These include detailed annual goals, a clear description of present levels of performance, specified special education services, including crucial accommodations and assistive technology, and the absolutely vital aspects of collaborative IEP development, where all stakeholders contribute. And it's important to check these goals often and be flexible, changing them as needs evolve, new strengths emerge, or new challenges arise. An IEP is a living document, not a static one.
Okay, individual plans, SMART goals, IEPs. What about adapting the actual curriculum?
Right. Next, we have adapted curriculum. This involves thoughtfully changing lessons to fit each student's individual strengths and needs. This could mean providing content through multiple modalities, using more pictures, incorporating hands-on manipulatives or tools, or integrating technology into the lesson delivery to present information in varied ways. Flexibility in how students demonstrate their knowledge is also vital. Rather than just a traditional written test, allow them to show what they know in various ways. They might write, draw, build a model, give a verbal presentation, or use a communication device. You can also adjust the difficulty of questions or tasks within a single lesson, making them easier or harder depending on the student's level of comprehension or specific learning goals. Tools like visual schedules, cue cards with key vocabulary or steps, and graphic organizers that help structure thoughts are powerful aids here. And providing sensory tools or breaks when needed directly supports cognitive learning by managing sensory input. The whole idea is to remove barriers to showing what they know.
How do you keep them engaged, especially if traditional teaching isn't working?
That's where engagement strategies come in. To boost engagement, especially for students who might struggle with traditional didactic teaching, multisensory teaching is incredibly effective. This means designing activities that allow students to actively see, hear, touch, and move as they learn. For example, learning about fractions might involve manipulating real pizza slices, drawing diagrams, listening to a song about fractions, and physically moving parts of a whole. This active engagement helps students with autism stay interested and remember lessons more effectively, making learning a more dynamic, immersive, and enjoyable experience. Technology also offers a wealth of opportunities for differentiation. Tablets, computers, and educational apps can make lessons fun, interactive, and highly accessible. Specific examples like visual timers for task completion, speech-to-text software for written assignments, and interactive educational games not only help students focus, but also adapt lessons to diverse learning styles, whether through engaging videos, digital stories, or interactive quizzes that provide immediate feedback. Technology can be transformative, aiding communication and reducing anxiety by providing predictable and engaging pathways to learning.
And you mentioned shared reading.
Yes, shared reading is another powerful engagement strategy that brings students together and fosters language development. This can involve reading stories aloud, using large, clear pictures to illustrate concepts, acting out scenes with gestures or simple movements, or incorporating puppets and props to bring the narrative to life. These methods help students connect abstract words to concrete actions and objects, making the learning more tangible and memorable. When families engage in shared reading at home, it reinforces these skills in real-life context, creating a seamless learning environment. Acting out stories and using objects keeps students interested, helps them learn new vocabulary, encourages communication with others through shared experiences, and enables them to apply skills in practical, real-life activities like following a recipe, shared reading of a recipe, or creating art, shared reading of instructions. Ultimately, multisensory teaching makes learning active and fun, helping to create a classroom where every student can truly succeed and thrive, regardless of their learning profile.
It truly transforms the learning experience when you meet students where they are, using such a rich variety of tools and methods. It makes a classroom where every student can feel successful, which is so incredibly powerful for their confidence and intrinsic motivation. And hand in hand with learning, effective behavior is essential. Our sources offer practical, evidence-based strategies for supporting positive behavior in the classroom, shifting from reactive management to proactive empowerment.
Absolutely. Helping students with autism behave well-meaning, engaging in pro-social and learning-ready actions begins with clear, consistent expectations and strong, well-applied positive reinforcement. Strategies drawn from applied behavior analysis, or ABA, are particularly effective in teaching new skills, fostering independence, and helping students navigate social situations, ultimately promoting greater inclusion and self-confidence within the classroom environment. While often associated with specific interventions, at its core, ABA is about understanding why behaviors occur and applying scientifically backed principles to support positive change, often focusing on skill building and motivation, rather than just suppressing unwanted behaviors.
So where does that start? Clear rules.
Exactly. The foundation starts with clear rules. These should be simple, concise, and most importantly, stated positively. For example, instead of "don't shout," rephrase it as "raise your hand to speak" or "use a quiet voice indoors." This tells students what to do rather than focusing on what not to do. Involving students in the rulemaking process, even in a small way, can significantly increase their sense of ownership and responsibility and improve their understanding of why these rules exist. It's also beneficial to have context-specific rules, for instance, different expectations for quiet time in the classroom versus active play on the playground, or specific routines for a computer station. This specificity reduces ambiguity.
And visual reminders help reinforce those rules.
Hugely helpful. Visual reminders are incredibly helpful for reinforcing these rules, especially for students who process information visually. Using clear cards, posters, or pictures to display what to do provides a constant, accessible reference that transcends verbal language barriers. This is especially beneficial for students who might have trouble reading, processing auditory instructions, or who find verbal directions fleeting. Placing these reminders prominently where students can easily see them helps them stay focused on expectations and reduces stress by making rules very clear and predictable. When visual rules are used in conjunction with positive reinforcement, students stay motivated because they clearly know what actions lead to positive outcomes. Visual reminders are effective because they show rules for each place or activity, help students stay focused, lower stress by making rules explicit, and allow educators to calmly reteach rules if forgotten without relying solely on verbal reprimands. Flexibility in changing visual supports, perhaps updating them as a student masters a skill, ensures they remain effective and relevant.
Right, visuals again. And consistent routines play a role in behavior too.
They're another cornerstone of behavior support. Consistent routines are vital. When daily schedules are steady and the same steps are used for common activities like arriving in the morning, transitioning to lunch, or packing up at the end of the day, students feel a profound sense of safety and predictability. Knowing what will happen next significantly lowers stress, reduces anxiety, and helps students maintain attention and focus. This involves diligently using visual schedules to illustrate routines, practicing routines many times until they become second nature, what's sometimes called overlearning, and providing clear, consistent reminders before any changes occur. The predictability itself acts as a powerful calming and organizational tool.
Okay, clear rules, visuals, routines, then positive reinforcement. How does that work effectively?
Right. Positive reinforcement, which is a core idea in ABA, means consistently giving rewards for good desired behavior. This approach is highly effective in helping students learn new skills, build confidence in their abilities, and improve their ability to get along with others and participate in class. The key is to pick rewards that each student individually likes best. This requires careful observation and maybe asking the student or their family about their preferred motivators. Critically, rewards must be delivered immediately after the desired behavior. This immediate connection helps students understand that their actions lead to positive outcomes, creating a clear cause and effect relationship. ABA research strongly supports that quick and special rewards encourage students to try again and reinforce the learned behavior, making it more likely to occur in the future. These rewards can take many forms. Genuine verbal praise, like "great job listening to the instructions and getting started right away." Tangible rewards, such as stickers, tokens that can be exchanged for a larger reward, or activity rewards like extra computer time or a few minutes with a favorite toy. It's crucial to identify what truly motivates each student and to vary rewards if a student seems to lose interest, keeping the motivation fresh and effective.
And the feedback needs to be specific, right? Not just good job.
Exactly. Specific feedback is just as important as the reward itself, if not more so. Instead of a general good job, tell the student precisely what they did right. For example, you waited your turn nicely by raising your hand, just like we practiced. This helps students understand which specific actions to repeat and internalize the desired behavior. Just like rewards, feedback should be given right away to maximize its effectiveness, cementing the link between action and positive outcome.
Yeah.
Over time, as students internalize these behaviors and develop intrinsic motivation, they start doing it because it feels good to them, not just for an external reward. You can gradually reduce the frequency of external rewards. This powerful combination of clear expectations, consistent routines, and positive specific feedback truly empowers students with autism to learn essential life and academic skills, feel proud of their accomplishments, and do well in many different environments, both inside and outside the classroom.
That's a truly powerful framework for guiding behavior, shifting from just managing to actively empowering students to develop self-regulation and positive habits. So, beyond the individual classroom strategies, our sources underscore that supporting students with autism is fundamentally a team sport, isn't it? It requires a holistic, ongoing approach that extends far beyond the classroom walls.
You're absolutely right. When we consider the comprehensive uh, education considerations for students with autism, teamwork is paramount. It's about creating a strong, cohesive support network that includes everyone involved in the student's life, all pulling in the same direction.
And family involvement is key there.
Incredibly important, yes. Family involvement cannot be overstated. Families are the primary experts on their child. They possess invaluable, intimate knowledge about their child's unique strengths, deepest needs, communication styles at home, and desires for their child's future. When educators actively invite parents to meetings and truly listen to their insights and perspectives, it creates a powerful partnership built on trust and mutual respect. Family school teams are crucial for identifying problems early on, sharing successful strategies that work in different settings, and ensuring consistency between approaches used at home and in school. This consistency helps generalize learned skills and prevents confusion. When parents are active participants in IEP meetings, their input ensures the plan is truly tailored and meaningful, leading to significantly more effective learning and growth for the student. Leveraging technology, like specialized communication apps or online meetings, can also help everyone stay in touch, share updates quickly, and maintain continuous, fluid communication, especially for busy families.
Makes sense. And involving specialists, too.
Integrating specialists into the team is equally vital. Professionals like speech-language pathologists who focus on communication, occupational therapists addressing sensory and fine motor skills, physical therapists for gross motor development, or board-certified behavior analysts applying ABA principles. They all bring specialized skills and perspectives that are essential. Working collaboratively with these specialists allows the team to set precise, functional goals and adapt teaching plans based on their expert assessments and evidence-based interventions. This interdisciplinary collaboration ensures that everyone is using consistent, complementary strategies, maximizing effectiveness and preventing fragmented support. Furthermore, greater interagency teamwork, which might include therapists from outside the school system, medical professionals, or community helpers, provides an even more comprehensive network of support that addresses the whole child. This collective effort builds trust among all parties and helps to create highly tailored plans that truly fit each student's unique profile, allowing them to do their absolute best, not just academically, but socially and emotionally. As a key takeaway, really, working together builds trust and respect among all stakeholders. It helps everyone reach the same goals, which ultimately leads to significantly better and more holistic results for students with autism.
So collaboration is huge. What about checking progress? Ongoing assessment?
Right, beyond collaboration, ongoing assessment is a continuous, dynamic process. The education considerations for students with autism emphasizes the critical need to frequently check student progress to see what strategies are working effectively and what might need to be adjusted or changed. This is where systematic progress monitoring comes in. It involves collecting data regularly and objectively, perhaps, through frequency counts of specific behaviors, interval recording for engagement, or detailed observational notes, often visualized through charts or graphs to observe changes in a student's performance over time. Setting those SMART goals we talked about, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, provides the clear benchmarks against which this progress is measured. It's essential to regularly share this progress with families so that everyone is informed, aligned, and can celebrate successes together. Technology, such as specialized apps and digital record-keeping systems, can greatly streamline data collection and analysis, making the process more efficient and less burdensome for educators. Regular team meetings involving parents and specialists are crucial for reviewing this data, discussing challenges, and collaboratively making necessary adjustments to the students' plans to keep them moving forward effectively.
Which implies flexibility is key, too.
Absolutely. This leads directly to the importance of flexibility. Every student with autism learns and develops in their own unique way and at their own pace. So, if a particular plan isn't yielding the desired results, or if new challenges emerge, it's critical to be adaptable, responsive, and willing to try new approaches rather than rigidly sticking to a failing strategy. This includes using different assessment methods if one isn't capturing the full picture, and actively seeking input from families about what they observe at home, as their insights are invaluable. This iterative process of assessment, adjustment, and reevaluation helps educators create a plan that is truly individualized, responsive to the students' evolving needs, and ultimately effective. The source mentions using data collection tools like frequency counts and interval recording, and the importance of including families and specialists in review meetings to change goals and plans as new data emerges, truly embodying a data-driven, student-centered approach.
It sounds like a continuous loop of collaborating, assessing, adjusting, and that requires ongoing learning for the educators too, right? Professional development.
Indispensable. Professional development for educators is absolutely indispensable, not just a nice to have. The education considerations for students with autism highlights that teachers must continuously keep learning new strategies, research insights, and best practices to feel ready, confident, and competent in their abilities to support diverse learners. Professional development programs specifically focused on autism provide essential, evidence-based training on topics like advanced assistive technology, nuanced communication strategies, effective sensory supports, and behavior intervention planning. This ongoing training not only builds a teacher's confidence and skill set, but also helps them create truly welcoming, inclusive, and effective classrooms. Crucially, it helps prevent educator burnout by equipping them with the tools and knowledge to manage complex classroom dynamics successfully. There are many proven resources available, manuals on evidence-based practice from leading organizations, online courses, webinars from trusted places like the Texas Education Agency and the Vanderbilt Kennedy Center. These resources offer practical tools, including detailed guidance on video modeling, effective peer teaching techniques, and self-management strategies for students. Utilizing these evidence-based tools empowers educators to design lessons and environments that work effectively for every student, fostering a culture of continuous improvement. This really raises an important question for all of us, doesn't it? How can we, as educators, administrators, families, and community members, commit to this continuous cycle of learning, adapting, and collaborating? It means embracing flexibility, staying open to new information, and consistently working as a cohesive, empathetic team to ensure every student feels supported and can truly thrive in class and, well, in life.
Wow. What an incredibly comprehensive and insightful deep dive into creating truly supportive and thriving learning environments for students with autism. It's abundantly clear that it's not about complex, impossible, or, abstract changes. It's more about thoughtful, consistent, and highly individualized strategies that make all the difference, transforming potential barriers into actual pathways.
Exactly. From that critical foundation of visual schedules and clear, simple language to designing sensory-friendly spaces and implementing powerful peer support systems, we've seen how what might initially seem like small, incremental adjustments can lead to monumental differences in a student's ability to learn, to connect, and to grow, both academically and socially. These evidence-based strategies, combined with strong, consistent collaboration between families, specialists, and educators, form a truly powerful and effective framework that genuinely works to foster success.
And what's really striking, as we've highlighted throughout, is that many of these approaches aren't just for students with autism. Universal design for learning principles are really at play here. Many of these effective strategies, like clear rules, visual schedules, multisensory teaching, differentiated instruction, can profoundly benefit every single learner in a classroom, creating a more inclusive, accessible, and effective educational environment for everyone, really celebrating neurodiversity in all its forms.
That's a fantastic point to underscore. And as you reflect on these insights, maybe consider this provocative thought, drawn directly from the wisdom of our source material. When you teach with patience and kindness, you make everyone feel welcome. Unquote. How would you apply just one of these concrete, evidence-based strategies we've discussed today, alongside that foundational kindness and patience, to make a profound difference in a learning environment you interact with, maybe starting today? What one small intentional change could you implement?
A truly fantastic thought to leave you with and an empowering challenge. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep making a difference in the lives of those around you.